Tonight on the Black Channel, what do black athletes owe us? What can we actually get? And is anyone actually going to receive anything? The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media. This is the Black Channel. I am the Black Authority. And you are listening live to the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the entire cosmos. And you're about to find out why, so join us. Now, you know, I'm the guy who I've always been Mr. Black Economic Empowerment. It's always been about the dollars here, because that's the foundation of everything. You're not going to get anything done without it. Period, point blank, end of discussion. That's always been my bread and butter, and I'm the guy who taught so many of you about that. So, of all the things I could talk about today, I'm not talking about sports. We're talking about the economics of it. And for those of you who had not heard, after a rather noteworthy tenure as coach of Jackson State, Deion Primetime Sanders has taken an offer from the University of Colorado to become their head football coach. And it's being met with, quite frankly, a lot of vitriol, a lot of consternation, a lot of condemnation, quite frankly, about the idea of doing that. There are a number of different factors at play, and among them is that he had a press conference today and stated that he announced that his son was going to be the quarterback of the team. So there's that. So he's doing big things here and making waves, as it were, but there are questions that folks are asking, and I'm here tonight to simply ask, are they justified? A lot of people are upset because this is one of those situations where in black society, we see black folk live their whole lives, gain notoriety, status, power, wealth, influence, and then once they've gained this huge trove of wealth, they then go pick it up and take it to the dominant society. And that's the thing, that we're the folks at the bottom of the ladder. We need it more than anybody else, and yet it's harder for us to get than anybody else. Sometimes it seems like these folks would rather volunteer for the dominant society than work for black folk, but it's not that simple. It really, really isn't. Case in point, there was an article from Deadspin. Deadspin had posted an article, and needless to say, it wasn't very flattering, quite frankly. Needless to say, it wasn't very flattering. From Deadspin, this is the article they have on Deadspin. Not very hard to figure out where they stand on the issue. Mr. Karen Phillips, Deion Sanders' pimping of Jackson State and HBCU culture is finally over. Now, I want to come back to that point in particular, the HBCU culture part of it. I want to come back to that. But first, what I want to do here is I actually want to go through this particular article. It was rather critical, downright negative, downright condemning of Deion Sanders. I want you to see what they had to say for themselves. Mr. Curran says, what started with a lavish indoor pep rally during the height of the pandemic, putting the health of students and school employees at risk, ended with a cowardice move to dodge reporters as the head coach of a 12-0 football team that just won its second straight Southwestern Athletic Conference championship was able to step aside his media obligations after a season in which he always had one foot out the door. Deion Sanders is done with historically black colleges and universities, as Coach Prime has chosen to leave an undefeated black school for a major payday at a predominantly white institution that has a football team that just went 1-11. I don't remember Deion saying that he's done with HBCUs, so this isn't loaded language. This is really kind of fraudulent when you think about it here. So anyway, Colorado's Twitter, you can see what they got there. They're very happy to see Deion, clearly. He goes on here to say, Sanders is leaving JSU after 3 seasons for Colorado and is scheduled to take part in a press conference on Sunday in Boulder. He couldn't wait to get out of the state of Mississippi as he hopped on a plane Saturday night headed to Colorado after breaking the news to his team. For all the debates and conversations about if Sanders' time at JSU was a positive or negative experience for HBCUs, what can't be denied is the feeling that there was so much left to be done. However, that was never really feasible for a man that only saw JSU as a step stool. Sanders wasn't a savior for HBCUs. He was the Pied Piper playing a hypnotizing song that put those who refused to educate themselves on his past into a trance. He was a pimp that used JSU and HBCUs like cheap prostitutes to further his self-promotion. And for all the people who are still in denial about who Sanders was before he showed up, who he was during his short tenure at JSU, and who he will always be, you are living in a fairy tale world. Boy, this guy sure is vitriolic, isn't he? But did Deion Sanders turn your mother or you down for a date? Man, I don't know. I mean, you're coming across real emotional here. For a man you don't know personally, but all right. He goes on to say, this isn't a situation in which Bob Iger has hired Tyler Perry to write the screenplay for a new Pixar film. This is real life. And you're being bamboozled by your unwillingness to admit that you believed in an egotistical clown who sold out the culture, while he always understood that your inability to accept the facts would leave you in the middle of debates saying simplistic things like, but he got the program on ESPN, as your only pitiful argument. That's very interesting because all the Barack Obama butt kissers, their whole thing has always been, but he black, but, you know, he could dance the Dougie, but, you know, he sung Al Green. But it's a chess move. Okay, interesting. The thing that made Sanders' time at JSU so fascinating was that too many believed that his antics and sound bites were helping HBCUs as a whole when they weren't. And yes, while more football games may have been aired on ESPN3 and money was donated, for the most part, those were all things that benefited Sanders, not HBCUs across the board. So Sanders is supposed to lift up HBCUs across the board? What the hell? He's the coach of only one team. Has Tougaloo College's athletic department's budget experienced a surplus that we haven't heard about because of Sanders? Or how about Fort Valley State University, Morehouse College, or any of the other 106 HBCUs across this nation that didn't have Sanders on the payroll? Morehouse is too busy trying to get the boys to wear skirts. The answer is no. Sanders didn't care about making HBCUs better. He cared about making the one that paid him better until he could parlay that into a better opportunity for him and his sons at PWI. How in the world is Deion Sanders supposed to help schools that he doesn't work at? This guy is schizophrenic. He really is. This fella is schizophrenic. Over the last few years, we've seen highly ranked recruits and celebrity athletes flirt with and embellish about, quote, doing it for the culture and wanting to change the game for HBCU athletes. Makur Maker's short-lived basketball stay at Howard University was an epic failure. Just like it was for Master P's son when he left Tennessee State University within the blink of an eye. And then there was Mikey Williams, a 4-star recruit who kept his name in the news by continually mentioning that an HBCU was a real possibility until he signed with Memphis a few weeks ago. If the game is ever going to change for HBCU athletics, then it will happen by doing it the right way. Now, let's hear what this guy, Karen Phillips, thinks is the right way. We'll find out what his answer is, and then we'll come and find out what Jason Black's answer is, and you all tell me which one sounds better for you. If the game is ever going to change for HBCU athletics, then it will happen by doing it the right way, which includes investing resources and giving exposure to these schools and their athletic programs so that they have all the tools necessary to recruit and retain 3, 4, and 5-star athletes. That's how you build and sustain programs that have proven that they can recruit top-tier talent and send kids to the pros. That's the blueprint. Not quick fixes or flash-in-the-pan hires like Sanders, who are just biding their time until they can leave like a thief in the night. Okay, he said the way to do it is to, quote, invest resources and give exposure to these schools. He didn't say how to do it. He didn't say a word about how to do it. Okay, everybody knows you need resources and exposure. We understand that. Dude, you ain't breaking any ground. Why don't you tell us how you get that done? So this is how you hire some broke, unemployed, internet writer, the caliber of whom needs to be at Madame Noir or Essence Magazine. He knows nothing about money. You know, we need more resources and exposure. That's how you build a top-tier team. Yeah, how do we do it? Well, you go get the resources. Get them from where? Well, you go grab them. Dude. So just understand, he's already proven how pointless and clueless he is, but he continues to talk. So if you take advice from this guy, don't be surprised when your car is still broke down the driveway. He goes on to say, but the one incident that will always define Sanders' legacy the most at JSU is when the man who always claimed that he cared about black people banned a black reporter, a JSU beat writer from the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, Mississippi, from covering his team. Quote, the ban was allegedly lifted after discussions with others in the university's administration. It never felt as if the air was really cleared, though, Marlon A. Walker told Deadspin. Walker was the executive editor at the newspaper during the time of the incident. Sanders banned the reporter because he knew he was going to be asked some tough questions at the 2021 SWAC Media Day due to a report that came out earlier in the week detailing how one of his most coveted recruits was charged with assaulting a woman. Now keep an eye on that statement too. Quote, even after we changed reporters, it was difficult. Deion Sanders made it hard for all local news reporters to cover the football team, mostly because he preferred national press, which was no secret, Walker explained. So which is it? He likes the national press, or he didn't want to be asked questions by the locals? Which one is it? He didn't want to be asked questions about one of his players, or he wanted to be asked questions about one of his players by the national press? Which is it? So when folks don't actually have a defense, they just start making things up. Doesn't matter if it's illogical or irrational. He goes on to prattle. In just 3 seasons at JSU, Sanders compiled a 26-5 record and brought attention to the program that hadn't been seen since the days of Walter Payton. His resume and coaching skills speak for themselves. But at what cost? Was the winning worth it? Wow. Folks, y'all got to understand, when you're dealing with people who they are petty, people who know that they themselves are failures, they're inept and incompetent, they say garbage like this. Well, yeah, he was winning, but was it worth the winning? So in other words, nothing you do is correct. There's something more important than winning. There's something more important than results. Dude, if you're not interested in results, what the hell are you doing here? If you're not interested in results, what in the world are you doing here? His resume and coaching skills speak for themselves, but at what cost? Was the winning worth it? And then you wonder why Deion Sanders is at University of Colorado. You wonder why Deion Sanders is at University of Colorado. He goes on to whine, in the coming days, Sanders will cherry pick the coaches and players he wants to take with him to Colorado. You sound jealous, sir. The majority of the players in that program will be forced to decide whether or not they will stay and play for a coach they never signed up for or transfer elsewhere. The questions will loom for longer than the coming offseason, as it's clear that, until recently, Sanders never had a succession plan for how the program would run after he was gone. People who don't care about where they are because they're fixated on where they're trying to go next rarely lose sleep over what will happen after they're gone. That's why the players at JSU should be commended for their dominant 43-24 win over Southern University on Saturday night as they executed the game plan despite the heavy cloud that their coach brought over their stadium. Sanders' final game as the head coach of Jackson State will take place on Saturday, December 17th, when the Tigers face North Carolina Central in the Celebration Bowl for the Black National Championship in Atlanta. His team played in last year's game. The braggadocious Deion Sanders was humbled that day. His team got obliterated 31-10 by South Carolina State University. The meek shall inherit the earth. What a Karen. At least he comes properly named. But if you think that the guy who wrote this article, if you think he supports black folk like that, case in point here, this is from his Twitter. That man said he was swag. That man said if he wasn't swag, then who else was? Even put it on t-shirts and hoodies. And some of y'all even looked online trying to buy some. And before your order can even be delivered, Buddy dipped on y'all. And then he puts up, looks like over a dozen laughing emojis. Now, first of all, grown people putting up laughing emojis about something that's not funny, like if you're sitting up here saying that people have been cheated or whatever and you're mocking them, that's not anything to put up laughing emojis over. What kind of psycho does that? But I also want to know a couple other things. So I'm like, okay, who is this Karen Phillips guy? What the hell is the deal going on with him? Who is this cat? Is he of any significance here? Then I went to his Twitter page. And this is what's on his Twitter page. This is Mr. Karen Phillips. Y'all, he's been on Twitter since 2013. 2013. Do you hear me, Juan? 2013. He's got 8,897 followers. 8,000. 8,000. If he works real hard, he can get another 100 get 103 folks here and probably get his way up to 9,000 if he really, really works at it. Y'all, he's been on Twitter for almost a decade. Almost a decade. Take a look at his likes and dislikes on his posts. Take a look at it. Baseball's a joke. 5 minutes ago, nobody even knew he was there. An hour ago, 13 likes from somebody else who's actually got 39,000 followers. Half an hour ago, 2 likes, 2 comments. Here he is posting for himself. Look at this. An hour ago, posting his own story on Twitter. 1 comment, no likes. 1 comment, no likes. I will let this be a testament to how relevant he is. I'll let that be a testament. Take a look at this here. He retweeted somebody else. 2 comments, 3 likes. That's the best he could do. That's the best he could do. He talked about Brett Favre. 1 comment, 8 likes. I wonder if those are his relatives. I'm going to skip past this right here because there's somebody else who had a bunch of likes when they posted. He's not getting anything on his own. He can't get anything on his own. No wonder you're a hater. Now, what I do want to do, though, is because there was this video in particular, I want you to listen. This is Deion Sanders talking to his team and letting them know that he's leaving. I want you all to listen. Listen to what Deion actually had to say and tell me if you still feel like condemning him. Listen to what he had to say.
Okay, down for the nitty-gritty. I know y'all been hearing the rumors and everything that's been transpiring around about my whereabouts and what I'm going to do. And I like for y'all to hear it from me and not from anyone else. It is what it is. Either in coaching, you get elevated or you get terminated. Ain't no other way. You either elevated or terminated. And it ain't no graveyard for coaches where they die at the place. It don't work like that. They either gonna run you off or you gonna walk off upon your own recognizance. I've chosen to accept the job elsewhere next year. I'm going to finish what we started. We're going to dominate. I'm going to be here to that end and that conclusion. And then when that conclusion, we will move on.
Now, for those of you who know your sports, and particularly your college sports, is he right? I'm sitting here in Louisiana. We watched him go from, who was that, Jerry DiNardo to Les Miles to Nick Saban. I may have the order wrong about that, but in roughly that order, Nick Saban leaves. They bring in Les Miles. I think Jerry DiNardo was there first. Nick Saban, Les Miles, and then Coach. Coach, he's got a weird last name. I'm sorry, he's got a weird last name, and he beat Nick Saban, which is why they got rid of Les Miles. They're like, we want a coach who can beat Nick Saban. Well, LSU got a coach who could beat Coach Orgeron. That was his name, Orgeron. That's the coach of LSU. At least it was. I want to say he was. I guess they didn't like the fact that he was winking at some of the folks' wives or whatever. Okay. But, yeah, that's what happened to them. Coach DiNardo, you can't win the big one, you're gone. Nick Saban won the big one, but left and went to Alabama. Then he tried to go to the pros. It didn't work. Back to Alabama or Miami. He left Miami, came to New Orleans, whatever. Miami, came to Louisiana, whatever. I forget which order it was. I want to say he came from there. If I got it wrong, I don't care. But the bottom line is, you know what I'm talking about. He came from one college team, came to Louisiana, went to another one, went to the pros, and then got run back out. Okay, LSU had Les Miles. Les Miles had a championship, but they said, oh, you can't beat Nick Saban. Out you go. They brought in Coach Orgeron. He finally was a coach who could beat Nick Saban, but take a look at what they're doing there. So this is at LSU. This is LSU. Now, you take a look at teams like University of California, Miami, things like that. Things like that. Folks, they do that all over the place. They do it all over the place. That's at your state schools. Talk about Michigan. That's at your state schools. So we talking about HBCUs. Let me remind y'all about something. And to anybody who wants to try to say, well, what about Coach Eddie Robinson? Look here, Negro, I'm from Louisiana. I was there in the 90s when Coach Robinson retired. And let's be clear, Coach Robinson did not retire because he wanted to. Coach Robinson was being pushed out. Everybody who was there in Louisiana and Grambling, you remember, they were trying to push Coach Robinson out. In his last couple years there, no, they wasn't going to let him stay. They were like, hey, he's too old. He's done as good as he's going to get. Let's go ahead and get us another coach while we still got a name. Coach Robinson was being pushed out. Everybody, all my college sports fans, you know that. For those of you who know about the HBCUs, you remember they was pushing Eddie Robinson out. Now, he eventually said he was retiring, but that's because administrators at the school and faculty and staff were like, yeah, we need to start looking at the post-Coach Eddie Robinson era. That was Eddie Robinson. And they were still like, yeah, can we move him out? All my HBCU fans and college sports fans, y'all remember that? So when Deion is telling you, hey, I'm not immune, you're either elevating or terminated. Deion is coming out the gap saying, and hey, look, this is what it is, not what you all are telling yourselves. This is what it is. You're either on the way up or you're on the way out. That's why he's saying there's no graveyard where you just get to go sit and stay. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Never. So just understand what he's telling you here. So before somebody tries to sit up here and sell you on the idea that HBCUs have loyalty, HBCUs, for the most part, haven't had loyalty to their students or their own faculty. But we're supposed to tell Deion Sanders that he's got to have blind loyalty to Jackson State? Okay, let me go ahead and lay some facts on you right quick. Let me lay some facts on you. Possible reasons that Deion might want to leave. And somebody call up the Karen writer. Let me say a couple of things for you now. First of all, the man came down there. He did everything he was expected to do and more. He brought a level of swag to this arena that did not exist. Yeah, you got Eddie Robinson Jr. and the rest of them, but they ain't been able to do what Deion has done. Deion brought a level of notoriety, but more importantly, he brought a level of swag to it that did not exist before. How the hell you gonna be upset about that? He's done you a favor. It's not like you did anything to deserve it. This man brought a level of swagger that nobody else did because nobody else could. Let's be very, very clear. In this instance, swag was tangible. Just ask ESPN. Clearly, you are not informed on it. Swag here is tangible. Just ask ESPN. He raised the profile. He raised the amount of attention they could get. Yes, sir. Swag here is a tangible asset. It sure is. Especially if you're winning. He didn't show up and bring swag to losing. He wasn't. I'm going to hurt some fans' feelings. Y'all remember Michael Jordan in them last couple years? How many of you remember Jordan in them last couple years? Remember Jordan at the Wizards? Remember that? How many of you remember them days? Remember sometimes he would be back in his damn suit before the game was over, remember? He'd be back in his damn Armani suit before the game was over. It was going just that bad. Okay, Jordan had presence. Yeah, but you didn't want, he could get the spotlight on him, but you didn't want it then, now did you? Yeah, Jordan could get attention at that time, but yeah, that's not the kind of swag we looking for. That's not the kind of attention we trying to get, sir. Well, I'm going to be with it. Give me one more quarter, brother. We give you one more quarter. We're going to be in negative digits. No. So Deion was able to get attention because he didn't just sit up here. He brought winning swag. He didn't just bring trash talking swag. He brought winning swag. Yes, that's a tangible asset. You damn right it is. That's tangible. That's tangible. He didn't bring swag for talking trash because he lost. And, oh, look at all the wisecracks I can make at reporters because I lost. He was sitting up there talking about, hey, I win again. All I do is win. All I do is win. So just understand what you're looking at there. That's a tangible asset. They didn't have that. They didn't have that. Folks, there's some folks in the chat room asking silly questions. I'm going to have the phone lines open here in a minute so they can go ahead and call us up. Because, boy, this is what I'm talking about. Some of them must work for Deadspin. This must be Karen's people. It's literally just got explained to you and you don't like it. I don't like that right there. Jason just explained to you what the tangible benefit of it is. By getting attention, he got national exposure, national attention that this school could not get. They've gotten a level of raised prestige that they could not get. I'm hating on that right there. Well, why'd you say that? Because the girls say I got high water pants and thick glasses. Well, look here, Urkel. We ain't talking about future swag. We're not talking about Migos swag. I'm talking about performance swag. Deion's got swag from performing at a high level. He didn't show up at Jackson State and they went 4-12. He showed up and they're champions 2 seasons in a row. What the hell you talking about is swag empowerment. You need to go Google empowerment. You need to go up and go Google empowerment. You having a hard ass time accepting reality. But I want to remind y'all of something else right here. I got to tell you the damn truth about it. It is what it is. You a winning coach in a city that doesn't have running water? I got to say something about that. You're a winning coach. You've brought untold precedent, attention, exposure. The athletes are being talked about in serious ways, and yet you're doing this in a city that doesn't even have running water. I want you to think about that for a moment. The highest performing individual in Jackson, Mississippi was Deion Sanders. The water department wasn't performing. That's empowerment, fool. Just in case you wanted to know, dumbass, that's empowerment. This man was performing in a city that was making national headlines, first for him showing up, and second for the water not working. And yet he was still performing and making it pop off. But can we just say what it is? That's not a good look. That's not a good look. Not a good look. Someone in the chat room said he was donating part of his salary to help with that. Here's the problem. That's not Deion Sanders' responsibility. He wasn't brought to Jackson to be the director of public works. He was brought there to be the coach of the football team. Can you understand that? He wasn't brought there to be the head of the water department. He was brought there to coach the football team. You supposed to have a city in place. He comes and takes care of the football end. You take care of the water and the streets and the sewerage. That's what you do. Since when did the head coach of a sports team, of the town sports team, become more important than the mayor and the deputy mayor and the director of public works and the police chief? What kind of screwed up reality you got in your head? That's not his job. That's not his responsibility. You're supposed to have that in place so that he can increase the amount of revenue that comes through the city by him doing his job, bringing y'all a winning team, so that you get recruits who want to come to the school, and thus everybody else starts winning. He did his job. And got Negroes on Deadspin and in my comment section, how is swag empowerment? You know what? If they were empowering themselves with the water department, we wouldn't have this issue right here. Now let me go ahead and go a little bit deeper into it here, since Mr. Karen wasn't able to actually answer anything. Mr. Karen wasn't able to do that. Why don't we go ahead and find out from Jason Black? Well, Jason Black, what is the answer? What could the HBCUs do to get resources? And what I want to tell you all is that over the years, I've seen this kind of thing before. You need to understand something. Harvard has the biggest endowment in the world for schools, and it's not because of a football team. It's not because of a football team. So the biggest revenue universities aren't where they are because of a football team or a football conference. So what is it they know that you don't? Somebody should tell Mr. Karen. Help him catch a clue. Jason, what would you suggest? There are things that are outside of your control. You're trying to come in the 21st century with a football team being the major driver. There are things outside of your control. What you need to do is have a Deion Sanders there or a Doug Williams there. And while they are there, the school needs to have people who can capitalize on that. Jason, how? Let's take a look at what you do control. Maybe you don't control the quality of athlete. Maybe you don't control how much exposure you get from national media. But if you have a chance to have a Deion Sanders or Doug Williams, what do you control? How good you play might not be something you can guarantee, but how you look is something 100% under your control. Case in point, for example, the New Orleans Saints. Back in the 1980s and 90s, we had a terrible team. Everybody knows it. We were literally in Louisiana wearing paper bags. We became famous for wearing paper bags over heads at the Superdome with the word Saints fan written on the front of it. That's how bad it was. The Detroit Lions were more proud of their team. But the reason for this was because Tom Benson, they put more effort and focus into how the uniforms looked. And no matter how the team played on the field, y'all need to know back in the 90s, for a couple of years, the Saints were the number one sellers in merchandise. Yeah, the team might suck, but New Orleans arguably had the best color combination of any team in the NFL. Hell, just the fleur-de-lis symbol on the baseball caps were big sellers and still are. That's New Orleans. Okay, the team might suck, but they focused on merchandising. Tom Benson focused on merchandising to the point that in Louisiana, we figured out what the hell the bastard was doing. That we realized he was like, who cares? I'll put a mediocre team on the field, and as long as we making a bunch of money off of naming rights for the stadium and merchandising, I'm cool. And it's only later when college football starts taking off, the pressure started coming down. Hey, how the hell is LSU doing better than the Saints? So then all of a sudden, okay, we need to revamp the team and start trying to win. But folks, think about that for a moment. The Broncos, speaking of Colorado, the Broncos, when they redesigned their uniforms to the ones that they currently have, the color scheme, the color connections, that's unlike any other team in the league. Colorado pushed hard to have a unique uniform that doesn't look like anybody else's. And their stuff sells all right as a result. So these other folks have understood that. Colin Kaepernick hasn't played a single down. His stuff was flying off the damn shelves. So what I'm saying is if you have a HBCU, you're supposed to have trademarks and every damn thing else. At the very least, if you Jackson State and you got Deion, the man is trying to show you all this country cowpoke behavior, all this backwater hayseed pigs feeding at the trough behavior. You got to put that to the side. You Jackson State now. You got the man coaching you. Y'all supposed to have outfits. You're supposed to have school clothing. We're supposed to see them all up here on Instagram. I ain't going to tell you toot it and twerk it, but I am going to say you should be seeing the females from Jackson State and everybody wearing that on Instagram. The ones who ain't size 16, that is. Well, the size 16s, okay, get this some extra big ones, but you get the idea. Now, how the hell is it that Jason Black knows that, but your damn athletic director at the school or your booster club president doesn't know that? How the hell is it that Jason Black knows this? And while Mr. Karen sitting up here talking about what Deion Sanders is wearing, Mr. Karen Phillips, and talking about Deion Sanders, I am swag. He even put it on t-shirts and hoodies. Why didn't Jackson State put it on t-shirts and hoodies? You don't need Deion Sanders to rep the swag. You don't need Deion Sanders to push some swag. The man gave you 3 damn years. The man gave you 3 damn years. You don't need no more help. You don't need any more help. But when you lack competent people, when you don't have competent people, that's the problem. If the people that you have there are not competent, and our HBCUs do not have competent people. I've been saying that now for over a decade and a half on the internet and decades before here. And you all know I'm telling the damn truth. The HBCUs don't have competent people. As soon as Deion came in, that should have been it. That should have been it. You knew he was coming. That was supposed to be the time for you to sit up here and revamp the whole damn thing. When you knew he was signed and you knew he was coming, y'all supposed to have the new shirts, new colors, new everything. We on the map. Jackson State, baby. All day. That's what you were supposed to be doing. They were waiting for Deion to kick them in the ass and tell them what to do. So what you have are a bunch of unimaginative, lazy ass, WIC voucher mentality individuals sitting at your HBCUs waiting on Joe Biden to send them a check. But they're not looking to earn their damn paycheck. This is supposed to be a damn team effort. They're supposed to be out there stomping and making sure that everything else is right. Deion is just one part of the equation. He's just one part of the equation. Just one. So when you talk to a businessman like myself and I'm like, hey, we got a hot ass prospect coming in the gate. It's prime time, baby. This is supposed to be the time for you to go ahead and light things up. The man is giving it to you. When if he's talking about caps and hoodies, you should have been had that done. Folks, it literally would take you a week to have them kind of things made. You shouldn't have to wait on him. But you are waiting on him if you're some lazy ass nanny sitting in the back not doing anything. You've been sitting there at the school all this damn time getting paid, and you don't mind getting paid at the bottom of the damn barrel because if you wasn't sitting behind a desk soaking up unearned money at Jackson State, your ass would be working sweeping up the parking lot at Wendy's. And that's, in reality, that is what most of your HBCU administrators would be doing. If they didn't have a job at that HBCU, they wouldn't be running nothing else. They'd be a manager at Church's Chicken. Don't know how long they'd be there for that. And that's the damn truth. Deion can get a job as a commentator. Deion can get a job as a coach. And I'm going to say something else. It doesn't matter what happens at Colorado. Deion can come back to Jackson State anytime he wants to. Just like Nick Saban. Nick Saban could leave and go to the NFL. He's like, what the hell you talking about? The NCAA gonna be there? I'm always gonna be able to leave Miami and go get a job somewhere else. I can always do that. I can always leave the NFL and go back to college, coaching in college. What the hell y'all talking about? Deion can always come back to Jackson State, Grambling, Pine Bluff. He can always do that. What they can't do is get another Deion. So what I'm saying is when we talk about do they need to give back, what do they owe us? First and foremost, I want to put this in its proper perspective because now don't get me wrong. Yes, there is an onus on folk like Deion. Absolutely. Absolutely. In the chat room, Mr. Orgain, grown men going LOL behind something that's not funny. There's nothing funny in what you said, so some of y'all need to get off the powder. I'm not dissing you. I'm just saying some of you need to get off the powder. If you all feel like what I'm saying is correct, you heard what Mr. Karen said. Now you heard what I said. If you feel like what I said is proper strategy, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. If you feel like what I said is proper strategy and makes sense and that I actually have an answer, Give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the damn likes button. And let folks know we own it. Let folks know we own it. By the way, big shout out here to everybody who's contributed to tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat. Big Stomp, I see you here. The other person who contributed here earlier, thank you very much for that. We appreciate that as well. I didn't know if that was trendy or not, but thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. And I'm just making a very simple point to you right now. You've got these institutions, and white folks, they treat their higher learning institutions like a business, and it shows in the results. Black folk got them, and we just have to be honest. We just got to be honest. You have incompetent welfare kings sitting up here running your HBCUs. You have people like Roland Martin. You have folks like Roland Martin running your HBCUs. Then you wonder why you can't take off. Then you wonder why you can't make it pop off. Go take a look at Roland Martin. That's what runs your HBCUs. Then you bring in somebody with some competence like Deion, and he's supposed to just fix the world? Deion's supposed to walk in and fix the world to make up for other people's incompetence. The damn football coach is the most competent person in the building. What the hell do you have a school administrator for if the school administrator cannot make the school more money year over year? What the hell are they in there doing? What the hell are they in there doing? You bringing in an internationally known athlete as your coach? He's getting the job done. Y'all supposed to be using that for the benefit of the school. Deion Sanders isn't supposed to be married to your damn school for 50 years. Somebody in the chat room put a thumbs down. I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you did that. We're going to have you call up here in just a few moments here, KD. So very glad you did that. Very glad you did that. Folks, I'm asking simple questions here tonight about what the black athletes owe us, because let me be clear, it's in their best interest. They do owe us something. They do owe us something. They do owe us something, because I got to tell you right now, fellas, you just one accusation away from saying, where the black community at? Some of these athletes out here and whatnot, these fellas, y'all need to show back up at your alma maters and whatnot. Spike Lee and them been talking about this for years. These black people who they got on at these HBCUs, they leave out the door and never look back. These white folk come back and give endowments at their schools. The black folk come there and go look for a white institution or a white corporation to take everything they got to it. But as soon as they asses are in a crack, then they start looking for some black folk to come running to the rescue. They start looking for some black folk to come running to the rescue. The time to be getting some folk to run to the rescue is before that happens. The time to get that together is before that occurs. So these folks who play this game where they don't invest nothing in the places where they came from, the people they came from, just understand you are highly vulnerable. You are highly vulnerable. The first time somebody makes an allegation, oh, that big dark Negro, he grabbed me somewhere near my rear end. I don't remember where it was. Ma'am, is it because it's flat? That's not the point. He was trying to grab it. Next thing you know, there's a benefit to investing. As I said, y'all, Kyrie Irving just found it out. There was a benefit to investing. Kyrie invested, and just like Denzel said in American Gangster, as Frank Lucas, I done took care of Harlem. You best believe Harlem gonna take care of me. See, this is what the black athletes don't get. They figure they're going to sit up here and go hide off in the white enclave and they'll be safe. It doesn't work that way. Them folks over there are not going to take care of you. They're going to be sitting there doing you like they did Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods' white wife was outside trying to kill this man with a golf club, because this is something I want to put into account. Y'all do understand that was a domestic violence incident, right? This woman is running around the damn house with a golf club, busting up the car, trying to get at him. He's got to drive away. She could have killed him. She could have killed that man. That ain't no joke. She could have killed him. The neighbors didn't try to help. They didn't try to stop nobody. The neighbors got out their damn cameras, but they wasn't trying to stop anything. They're like, yeah, Tiger, you sitting up here laying up with the block and all the girls at Dave and Buster. The neighbors wasn't taking care of him. When TMZ and all the media showed up, they was dropping the dime. They wasn't taking care of Tiger. O.J. Simpson. None of them were helping him. You go off and live in these neighborhoods and, well, don't worry. Was ASAP Rocky. I don't be worrying about what's happening in no black community. I'm in Soho. When he got his ass arrested, Soho wasn't there to take care of him, were they? Soho wasn't there to take care of him. I've been with Christian Dior because I'm handsome. Christian Dior wasn't there to help him. Yeah, he took care of Christian Dior. Christian Dior didn't take care of him. Kyrie Irving took care of black folk. You damn right, black folk gonna take care of him. He held it down for us. We gonna hold it down for him. That's the way that works. To the point that in a modern era, you were able to show that man was untouchable. Because they saw we holding it down. It's not a temporary thing. We holding it down. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that. You're supposed to take care of it. You're supposed to. So these athletes, if they don't give something back, what these fellas got to understand is after all these decades of negligence, man, look here. Look here. Okay. I know it sounds like a good idea and it seems like a good idea and it seems like, boy, it's going to be so easy to pull this off. I know it seems like a good idea. That's not the way it's going to work. So for individuals out there who are thinking they're going to get sustenance from somewhere else and, well, don't worry, y'all believing that, well, I've got sexual access to all the cheerleaders. What, don't you see all these chicks lined up at the NFL Combine? What you mean, white supremacy? Ain't no problem with that. I've graduated beyond that. I've graduated beyond that. And then you find out these folks is vicious out here with it. They're not playing about it. These folks are vicious out here with it. They're letting you know. By the way, case in point to the Karen, this is what he retweeted, by the way, just in case anybody was under any illusions that he supports black men. Reposting this Tyler Brook. He's podcasting for Acme Packing Company. Okay, whatever. Indiana University 2016, I guess. I don't know. Congrats to Deshaun Watson for not sexually assaulting someone for over 3 months. A real hero. Sir, you got bigger fish to fry than that, from Brett Favre to Ben Roethlisberger. You better go try to clean up around your house over there, dude. You better go clean up around your house over there, bruh. But Karen Phillips is letting you know. Here's the real thing I want y'all to understand. When you're a fella who never really accomplished anything, you're sitting among black men. You're sitting among men who are getting attention that you don't get. They're getting attention for being physical alphas. They're getting attention for bringing home the bacon, and all your ass can do is just sit there and bam away on your keyboard about things you can't do. Let me tell y'all something. If this fella ever in his wildest dreams ever had the opportunity to come near anything look like coaching a football team. Does this guy look like he could competently coach a damn school picnic? You take a look at him. Does he look like he could competently coach a Subway sandwich? Throwing shade at Deion, you can take a look at him. Is this the fella who's going to lead us to glory and championships? Highly skeptical. I'm highly skeptical. So when he sees Deion, he sees something he can't be. He sees something he can never be. So he's just yelling and screaming and upset and bamming away and hurling invectives. And the other reason is because he knows ain't nobody listening. You notice he hasn't even said anything. He hasn't said anything. He knows nobody's actually listening to him. Well, hell yeah, there's no consequences for it. Why not? Why not? What's the penalty he's going to pay? No, I wouldn't let that bastard coach badminton. Look it up. However, some of you may disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. As always, you are welcome to join us. I want to thank everyone here who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. B1 Media is a lifesaver. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Miss Lott, Brenda Starr, and everyone else who has contributed to support tonight's program. We're going to take a very brief non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll be taking your phone calls. So the people in the chat room who are instructed to call in, that was not a request, that is an order, and you'll have your opportunity to explain yourselves. This is The Black Channel.
Higher Life Recruiting and Consulting specializes in direct placement. If your company is looking to hire top talent, or you are looking to start a new career, our network of professional recruiters can help. We provide recruiting, LinkedIn lead generation, access to our professional network, paid job postings, interviewing, and more. Check out our specialized services: information technology recruiting, STEM career consulting, sales recruiting, hiring process consulting for your business, resume writing, LinkedIn profile consultation. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and get higher with us.
Girl, I am so tired of Twitter and TikTok. We need something just for us.
Yeah, and I would post on 60, but they don't have a mobile app.
That's a lie. 60 actually does have a mobile app. It's available on iOS and Android. That's your phone?
Yeah.
That is humongous.
Anyway.
60 is where the Black community taps into unfiltered and authentic conversations on the topics we know and love. I gotta get out of here. But remember, don't just sign up.
We know. Host. Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority, and the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the Black media. And the telephone lines are open here. We're going to go ahead and take phone calls. We are discussing here tonight, do Deion and Black athletes need to give back? Have the HBCUs fumbled the ball? Whose fault is it? What's owed? Who should get anything? Should anybody get anything? And if you have been instructed by my mods to call in, you must call in. If you don't, you will be banned. Let me go ahead and get caller from area code 480. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, I'm Dwayne from Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, Dwayne from where?
Phoenix.
All right, Dwayne from Phoenix, what's on your mind?
I just want to say everything you're saying is absolutely correct, especially with the swag situation. If you remember, Oregon, a top school now, years ago, was a terrible school. Phil Knight comes in, who's an alma mater, puts money into the school, changes their jersey, changes everything, and they get top recruits, 5-star recruits, end up being one of the top football teams. And it seems like HBCUs don't see that. And that's the reason why Deion needs to leave, because to get top recruits, he had to get better facilities and things of that nature. I mean, what he did in Jackson is short of a miracle, especially without having water. You know what I mean? So, and one other thing, his son is a top quarterback. And for him to have his son go there as well, to try to get his son on the national spotlight, that I think is the main reason he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope it works out, because if it doesn't, it'll be disastrous. The white media is going to descend on him. If it doesn't work out, they're not yelling nepotism just yet. They're waiting to see if it fails, because they're afraid because they're remembering the Mannings and whatnot. So they know they got to tread carefully, but they're certainly not in his bag for him. They're certainly not in the tank for him.
Yeah.
They're waiting to see how it works out. They know that he's surprised them at Jackson State. He's already shown he has competence. What they really want to see is whether or not he's going to fall off now. And if he doesn't, they don't want to speak too soon, but give him a few games into the season and you'll see what their attitude's going to be. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 904. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Daryl from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Jason, excellent broadcast. This is right up my alley. I'm a former professional athlete, and also I played college ball and high school ball. And Deion Sanders did the right thing by going to Colorado. He did all he could do there at Jackson State, but he did something real classy. He did everything that he's doing with class. He even had a billionaire a couple of weeks ago come in there and speak to those kids. How many coaches in the SWAC, let alone those administrators, have billionaires come in there speaking to their kids and didn't want to drop money on them? Not many, none that we know of, not ever, until he done that. He brought so much attention to that program, and he brought attention nationally by outdoing the NCAA Power 5 schools by getting top-level recruits in. And in addition to that, his son is one of the top quarterbacks to come out when he came out of high school. And so when that kid goes to Colorado, if they revamp that, and by the way, he's already picking his staff already. He's already getting this set up. So this was a win. I don't know who that guy was, Karen, whoever that was. He doesn't know nothing about sports, and definitely doesn't know nothing about economics or finance. So you are absolutely right in that sense. And be one, family. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi.
All right, Jeremiah from Jackson. What's on your mind?
Oh, man, it's bittersweet. We're thankful and grateful for what Deion did. We are disappointed that he's leaving. But let's just go through a couple of things that happened since he's been here. We won the SWAC for the first time since 2007. First time we made it to the SWAC championship games 2013. First time we won back-to-back SWAC titles my senior year in high school, 95 and 96. My freshman year at Jackson State, won the SWAC. First draft pick since 2008, James the Problem Houston, playing at the Detroit Lions now. First winning season since 2013. Like I said, we sad he's gone. Wish he would have stayed until Shadua would have graduated. That would have been would have helped push HBCUs a little further because he was bringing that light. And I have to give his son Deion Jr. A lot of credit because Jackson State had the number 9 media attention of all above Alabama, of all universities.
Right, but let me interject on something here and say, if he had stayed a little bit longer, that would have boosted all HBCUs. Here's the problem. Can you please name for me any time when folks said, if Nick Saban had stayed in college sports another season or two, that would have boosted all college sports? He's certainly boosted LSU. He's certainly boosted Mississippi. But Alabama. But like I'm saying, to put all the HBCUs in America on one single coach, he doesn't work for the HBCU as an organization, as a title. He doesn't work for all of them. So that I can understand folks saying that, but that's an impossible goal. The HBCUs would need to do what the NCAA has done. The HBCUs need to get together because the NCAA is a cartel. Right. The NCAA is a cartel. The HBCUs need to get together. Instead, they're sitting up here hanging next to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, talking about you need to worry about gender studies. And when the real boat comes in, they're not ready for it. So if the HBCUs were serious, they would get together and put together an overall plan for how they're going to get themselves over as an entire entity. And Deion would be only one element in that equation. See, there's the difference between me and this Karen dude and the rest of these folks. I understand one man, one coach, no matter how incredibly capable, is not going to transform the HBCU system. He can be a part of it. This is very significant. You can't discount that. But one man alone, I don't give a damn what he does. That's not going to change everything. So if you really want to capitalize on this, you got to get all the HBCUs together working in tandem.
I agree. And I text a city official, high level one, and asked if they offered to give $100 million toward building a stadium for Jackson State. I text, hey, how about y'all send $10 million toward his coaching staff? Because he said that he's financially good shape. He wanted to hook up his boys who've been with him for a long time. He had to put $10 million on the table and said, listen, here you go, $10 million for your whole staff. I think that would have been significant. And the marketing thing, the only school that ever really marketed HBCUs worth a damn really was when Eddie Robinson was at Grambling in the 60s and the 70s. And that's because they had a black guy at Grambling. My mama went to Grambling. Was a marketer, and nobody was hiring him. Who hiring black people to do marketing?
Yeah, I mean, we basically had to do it ourselves and things, and, the battle of the bands and Grambling versus Southern and things like that, which is still, pretty significant. That's the kind of thinking you got to have to that. We don't have to be the NCAA. What you got to do is show that you're viable and use the resources you have properly. Problem, we don't have competent, creative leadership at these HBCUs. You don't have it. That's what's actually missing. Right.
Got to speak on that. You're absolutely right. My father was the band director from 92 to 2009, and he came back in 11. He asked and begged the marketing department, hey, can y'all help me? He had a very good band, especially from 2000 to 09. Very, very good bands. And they didn't help him worth a damn. He had to beg and embarrass the department head and to get new uniforms. They had holes the size of my head in band uniforms. And he showed that to the president. The president had no damn idea. Now, we did have a president at one time. People call them all kind of coons or whatever, but the buildings we had that are new out there, that was done by Mason, your homeboy from Louisiana. He went over there to Southern, got fired over there too. There's some coon stuff, but he had an idea about how to get money. We had an endowment of $50 million. That's not a lot compared, of course, some damn Harvard. Don't even mention us, people like that. But he had an endowment, and we hired this lady came in from Norfolk State, and she stole all the damn money. Because of Deion, we just got the endowment back up to around that level. You know, we lacked resources of black institutions because we as a black community lack resources. We are 1/2 or 1% of the economy in the United States. That's why we need reparations.
Well, even still, though, competence, because that's a key element to have there. If you give $10 million to an incompetent individual, you might as well have given them $0. You're going to get the same result. As far as where Deion is concerned, it's like the automotive industry. Deion and Jackson State would be like a halo car. They're not going to carry the whole industry, but it gives you it's an exotic vehicle that gives people a reason to have an alternative to watching the NCAA. That's the real thing about it. You know, you're not going, it's like the WWE and any other promotion. AEW is never going to be as big as the WWE. Impact, forget about it. But, you know, you can exist as an alternative to it. And with somebody like Deion and bringing a couple of others, now you've got a viable alternative. Deion and Jackson State is the halo car. Now you put together some of these other teams and get them up to code and get the other schools up to code. Now you've got something viable alternative to the NCAA. That's when you're thinking like a business. That's when you're thinking competently. And that's what we don't have. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 832. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Jason. This is Robert calling from Houston by way of Church Point, Louisiana.
Okay, Robert, what's on your mind?
Yes, Jason, man, another great broadcast tonight, man. I'm listening to the great points that people are bringing up, and man, you just hit it dead on the head. The incompetency, the fact that you equated the level of competency to roly-poly Martin. That's exactly what exists in the HBCU management system. It's like you're saying they don't have the competency to parlay what Deion brought to that organization and say, okay, let's put things in place to 10 times what he's done for us so we can move forward. And I think Deion saw that. So he did what he needed to do for them. Got them in a position to get like you said, the swag, get people to look at the organization, look at the conference. He had a winning season. He did what he said he was going to do. I think people get caught up in the fact they just wanted him to stay indefinitely until he exhausted his here's
the thing.
Influence.
These folk are sitting, this tells you the real intellectual and quite frankly moral bankruptcy of your HBCUs. They're waiting for somebody to bring them something. They're waiting for opportunity to come flying in and drop in their laps, as opposed to creating opportunity and capitalizing on it. You haven't seen anything. I challenge anybody. Show me who else at the HBCU sports level is doing anything to promote what they're doing other than Deion. Deion is what he's always been. He's always understood that in the NFL, he was one guy in you're a small fish in a very large ocean. So he became an expert at marketing himself, at promoting himself.
Correct.
And so he learned how to be a promoter. He learned to be like Floyd Mayweather Jr. And he brought that aspect somewhere else. Why the hell is it that your HBCU sports coaches and staff, none of them know how to do that? I suggest to you they shouldn't be there if they don't know how to promote the damn sports team. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 347. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller area code 347 has been abducted. Caller area code 240. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Damon from Waldorf, Maryland.
All right, Damon from Waldorf, Maryland. What's on your mind?
Again, yeah, another great broadcast, Jason. I was listening to a broadcast you did before, and it was, I may have been on the Patreon, and it was talking about you can't get there from here. And Deion's real goal is to get to the NFL and coach an NFL team. And he couldn't get there by staying at Jackson State.
I don't think that's really his goal. In my opinion, I don't think that's really his goal, but go ahead.
You don't?
Yeah, I don't think that's really what he wants to do, because if he did, he actually has entree to make that happen now. I don't think that's really what he wants. I think he wants a place where he can dominate. I think he's happy being where he is, being the most high-profile person, and he's most effective where he is. You put him in the NFL, and he's going to go right back to being a small fish in a very large pond. Where he is right now, even in Colorado, he's making all the headlines because he's most significant. So I just think trying to go to the NFL, he would just get swallowed up, and I don't think he's really shown any desire really to do that. I haven't seen anything that demonstrates he has a desire to do that.
Well, maybe. But also, this will still help the HBCUs. You know why? Because the members of his staff that he's taken with him to Colorado, if they do well, they will go back and get head coaching jobs other places, and they will have seen what Colorado has and know, hey, this is how we run this. This is how we do this from a top-tier school. They will have that experience when they go back to the HBCUs, if they go back once he starts winning there.
Well, the real thing is, what did they learn?
Usually your coaches...
The real thing is, what did they learn? They have been watching this man lay the blueprint now for the last 3 years. You shouldn't need somebody to be there for 30 damn years so you can see, hey, this is the formula. This is what works. You really don't even need a Deion. The problem is the HBCUs have been piss poor pathetic at promoting themselves. You have a guy who knew how to promote himself, and you have benefited indirectly. They now want to go from being indirect beneficiaries to basically being his dependents. Even schools that he isn't coaching are sitting there with the damn beggar's cup out, talking about, hey, did you bring something for us? As opposed to saying, hey, let me soak up the game. Let me soak up the game and see how you do that. None of them are doing that. What I'm saying to you all is that the HBCUs are the Chitlin circuit mentally. They accept themselves that way. Let me put it more like this. It was either a cardinal or something. They were dealing with Section 8 housing. It was a white dude. And, there were some folks who were talking about how they needed to fix it up. Some white people telling about how they needed to fix up the Section 8 housing. He stopped them and said, Section 8 housing should look like Section 8 housing. And what I'm telling you is that the HBCUs have, and Dr. John Henry Clark just talked about that, the HBCUs and your so-called leadership, they have gotten so accustomed to being the bastard stepchildren in the American college and university system. They are comfortable being where they are. They are comfortable being at the bottom of the barrel. They are comfortable being the Pee Wee League. They're comfortable being irrelevant. Now, that's something that folks are going to have to wrap their heads around. Take a look at how it's run. Are these places run like institutions that demand to be bigger, better, more relevant? Or are they run like, okay, this season is over, let's limp along until the next semester? Take a look at what they're actually doing and tell me, how is it they're operating? Does it look like something that's trying to get bigger and better? Does it look like something that's just like, okay, well, hey, we the Pee Wee League. Our job is to be the best Pee Wee League we can be.
What they should be trying to do is get themselves organized together and get their own TV contract so they could be on some type of network and then go from there. But
well, I mean, what they're really lacking is
I'm sure they'd all see eye to eye.
Brother, what they're really lacking is personality. What they're really lacking is personality. Let me go ahead and explain to y'all what it is here. Thank you very much for giving us a call. They're really lacking personality. Before I do that, thank you to everybody who's contributed to support tonight's program. Miss Roberson, I see you showing out in the chat room. My man Tommy Felix is back on deck. Thank you very much here for dropping some love in the super chat. I appreciate that very much. Let me tell y'all something. What they're missing is personality. When we got Grambling and Southern and the Battle of the Bands, and then you got things like Set It what's that, Drumline and Bring It On. That's Hollywood acknowledging what we've done and what we built. They understand it. What I'm saying is your HBCUs have lost it. Let me give y'all something to think about this right now. Okay, if the school's got the funds to have $1 million, y'all supposed to have some top tier talent on deck every damn year. Beyonce's supposed to be there. Nicki Minaj, I said it. Nicki Minaj supposed to be there. Cardi B supposed to be there. Damn it. You got this thing going like that. You supposed to have, for the halftime show's supposed to be lit. That's supposed to be an international thing. Like Cirque du Soleil. That's supposed to be an international thing, and it was until the incompetence came and did that. I'm telling y'all, as a person on the outside looking in, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't watch sports like that. Damn sure don't watch college sports. Really don't watch HBCU sports like that. But as an objective businessman, analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of what you're doing, I'm taking a look at the assets that you have. I'm taking a look at historically what you did. Why the hell is your halftime show not running things? If you got $1 million, you supposed to call Nicki Minaj's people, Cardi B's people, don't call them at the same time, they're just gonna fight. But you're supposed to be calling them and get that going. Chris Brown's supposed to come out there on the field at halftime. Hey Chris, we heard the award shows wouldn't show you no love, but baby, we gonna be on ESPN halftime. You gonna run this damn thing. You ain't gonna have to sit with all them crazy girls up there for $1,000 to take a picture. Ain't y'all, Chris gonna come out there doing the moonwalk and every damn thing else. I'm explaining to you how to build an event that you can craft your entire sports season around, because that's all the Super Bowl is. The Super Bowl is an event that you craft the sports season around. And if everybody knows it's going to culminate here, either in the Black Championship or the Battle of the Bands or whatever, whatever the case might be, the Bayou, Battle of the Bayou, whatever the case may be, you supposed to be ready for that. You supposed to be ready for that. In Louisiana, I'm going to say it. Yes, I'm going to say it. Throw a few dollars and get Kevin Gates' crazy ass out there. I said it. We're going to have the national championship in Atlanta. Where the hell is Ludacris? You got too many dudes and women from Atlanta. They supposed to be on deck. Halftime is supposed to be promoted. Halftime is supposed to be all the way promoted. And from there, with or without Deion Sanders, you've got a draw. You've got something that gets people's attention. You've got something that draws eyeballs and gets people's attention. You've given your organization, your university, you've given them relevance outside of a single individual. Hell, you ain't got to do it now. What you do is you tell them, look, man, it's going to be on TV and everything else. We ain't got $4 million. We can go throw $1 million, negotiate with them a year in advance. Tell them, hey, we want to put dibs on your time for next year. We want to put dibs on your time for next year. Baby, you ain't going to be out there on that field but 15 minutes. 15 minutes. You can shake your ass for 15 minutes for $1 million, Cardi B. You can do that. You can do that. What I'm saying is, if you were serious about negotiating this and serious about setting this up, this is what you would do. You would have individuals at your school who would do that. You would have individuals at your school who they would be doing that. That's the point. But you need Jason Black to come along and say this. What in the hell are you paying your school administrators for? Why are you paying them to not do this and to not get results? And then you want Deion to sit there and give you camouflage and cover for what you're not doing. You supposed to have this going whether Deion shows up or not. It doesn't matter if the football team straight sucks. If the halftime show is on and popping, they gonna be talking about that. That's what they're supposed to be doing. So when I talk about malfeasance and mismanagements of your HBCUs and incompetence at the highest level, that's what I'm talking about. Somebody in the chat room said, remember the BET Black College Tours? Hell, they ain't giving them nothing to tour for now. Why would they go on tour now? They ain't giving them nothing to tour. Call from area code 417. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Al from Branson, Missouri. Here's the thing. I was a little disappointed for another reason, though. I wanted University of Colorado to hire Eric Bieniemy, who was the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, because he should have been a head coach maybe 3 or 4 years ago, what he's done with the Chiefs organization with Patrick Mahomes. But here's the thing. These black colleges from the SWAC conference and the MEAC conference missed the boat when they did not sign a streaming deal with, let's say, was Apple TV Plus, Prime, Peacock, or, the other sports channels from CBS Sports, Fox, or ESPN Plus. Sure, you got to dish out $6.99 just to go watch, Jackson State versus Grambling, or Texas State, Tennessee State versus Jackson State on ESPN Plus. But if they would have signed a streaming right deal and everything else, it would have helped the universities. It would have helped expose, black college sports and everything.
Well, I mean, they got to get their grassroots game going. Because the real issue is you can't get to streaming until you show competence and viability where you are. If they would do that alone, I'm telling you about, hey, these are things they can do that don't even involve the football teams. Just the schools themselves. Because, for example, you got schools, all they have are, fencing and gymnastics? So these individuals here is like, okay, yeah, we got a football game, but you really coming for the halftime show. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have competence, that's what you would do. Most anybody can learn to play an instrument. Being a professional athlete or even a college athlete is going to be rare. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get called from area code 205. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Kim. I'm calling from Hurricane, Alabama.
Kim from Hurricane. What's on your mind?
Well, my thing is, I don't see why most people are upset with what Deion did. If anybody knows anything about sports, when it comes to moving up, you're going to always try to go for that top-tier school. Just like, for instance, if Nick Saban right now decided that he wanted to retire, ain't nobody going to tell me that you ain't going to have different coaches putting their resume in without the school actually going out getting a coach. They're going to be putting their resume in. So with Deion going up to Colorado, I don't see what the issue is. That's what you're supposed to do. And then when he first got to Jackson State, his name itself speaks for itself. It already speaks. So the president of that college should have already been on the bandwagon and getting with other people making business deals and getting with alumni who they already know got a little money, or who they know who even didn't even graduate from the school who got money, to say, hey, this who we brought in. So now how can we implement what he's bringing to help build the school even more? So that's their own fault. Anytime you win a championship, money gonna follow that. I don't care what nobody say. There's Power 5, whatever. Money gonna follow, and somebody else is looking. So these even coaches that's in the Power 5, most of them, if they can't get that head coaching position in another Power 5 at another Power 5 school, they looking at the NFL just to even be an assistant on that team. So that's how football itself works. It's just how basketball even works. So these people that's upset, they don't even know nothing when it comes to sports.
The system can't have an entire genre, your HBCUs, sitting up here thinking they're going to ride on the back of one man. You're supposed to already have something going on. That's my whole point about it, is this is actually symptomatic of the fact that with its points, it's illustrative of the fact they ain't got nothing going on like they should. We've fallen a long way from where we were in the 80s. The HBCUs were in a stronger position back then. If it's all come down to one man at one school, that shows you that the rest of them have not created a fertile ecosystem. They haven't created a fertile ecosystem, and they're supposed to be sitting up holding the war council tonight. It's still in the news. They're supposed to be talking about, okay, what are we going to do to capitalize off of what's happened? The man's still going to be there till the 17th. What are they doing to capitalize off of it? Not one conversation is going on about that, and that's the real reason why somebody at those schools needs to start cleaning house. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. What they need to do is ask Deion which administrators need to be fired. That needs to be his last contribution. By the way, hey, Deion, who you think we need to let go in the office? Caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, big brother Jason. This is brother Elijah calling out of Queens, New York.
What's on your mind, brother?
Brother, I am extremely proud of our brother Deion Sanders. He did give back, all right? He came there and brought a light to that school that they never had before. And I believe that brother deserves all of his money. If they weren't offering, he has every right to go somewhere else. He's worth more than what they're offering him at this point. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, and he was in the major leagues for baseball. You can't get any better than that. So you were 100% right. He brought a lot of swag there, and he deserves to follow the money, and good luck to his son. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 469. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Thomas calling from Dallas, Texas.
Thomas from Dallas, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I just want to say Deion Sanders, he's the ultimate warrior, man. If Deion Sanders was a general, I mean, this type of guy you would follow into battle with. I mean, I live in Dallas, man. I live in the McKinney area, and my son played for McKinney High, man. Some of these high schools out here, man, got college-style facilities.
Yes.
Like Allen High School got a $24 million facility.
Folks don't know. Let me interject
McKinney
real quick there, because I'm from Louisiana. Texas started stepping its game up back in the 90s. We started seeing high schoolers. We had high schoolers in the 90s in Texas who weighed 250 and 300 pounds. High schoolers weighing 250 and 300 pounds, they wasn't playing about preparing them for the pros. So Texas back in the 90s just took off and never looked back. It has always been on its square about that. And the high schools, they make no bones about it. The high schools are basically semi-pro. The high schools of Texas today are essentially semi-pro. And by semi-pro, I don't mean little league. I mean, it's a prep school for the pros. The high schools. By the time when you get to college, those are the pros. The college is the pre-pros, and high school is the prep for it now. That's just how serious it is. I want to say, do they still televise the championship in Texas? High school football championship in Texas? Do they still televise it? Because they used to.
They still televise it. I think they play at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah.
But man, if you go inside these high schools here in McKinney, College area, man, it's pros straight up. The workout facilities, the football stadiums like Prosper.
Oh, they got
McKinney,
college strength.
Allen.
They got college strength and conditioning coaches working at the high schools now. You got people fully trained strength and conditioning coaches for the pros at a pro level working at the high schools. You're walking in multi-million-dollar facilities for a high school.
These kids are already ready. Like the high school level, they already ready for the pros. They film them on TV, man. They get the scouts out there. They already calling my son already for when he was in middle school. And I'm telling you, it's so. And if HBCUs can't be set up like this, it's embarrassing that high school level is better than HBCUs. We got the money in the black community. Like you said, the mismanagement of HBCUs been going on so long that today they got used to it. It's sickening to see it. But when you got high schools that's on college levels, I mean, you should see it. I mean, people don't realize how deep it is out here in Texas that when they say it's football country, it's football country. And these kids are already ready for the pros coming out of high school. It's pathetic that HBUs can't be on that level, and they can, like you said, they're going to need better management. And what Deion did, man, was incredible, man. I mean, no one's been able to do that, and it's embarrassing that we got the money and they mismanaging the money at these HBCUs.
What you need to do, you're going to have to frog march out a bunch of these administrators and whatnot to prove to people that it's a new day. As long as you're sitting up here trying to run it like some third world dictatorship where the people are obviously corrupt and mismanaging funds and y'all acting like that's cute and that's something to brag about. No, you're not supposed to be sitting up here complaining about it. You're supposed to have folk march out in handcuffs, get competent people in there so you can start having a better life. Let me get called from area code 747. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, you're on live. Wake up. What is your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, yeah. My name is Fred. I'm calling from Los Angeles. Basically, I admire Deion Sanders. He's a true leader, and he is of a different sort. He saw effective activities which had a truly beneficial purpose. He inspired others to follow in his wake and holding aloft the torch of wisdom, and he led the way for his society to realize that he genuinely was a great aspiration. And basically that's what he did to the black community. What he did was he organized and unleashed the potential that each black community has. He got them organized, he got them inspired, he gave them something to look for, and basically they obtained that, but they didn't maintain it. There's a difference between attaining something and maintaining something.
And it doesn't suddenly become his responsibility to fix the damn world and be savior of the world. He's supposed to be one part of an equation. He did his job, but that's my whole thing about it. He did his job. Rehabilitating the HBCUs is supposed to be the administrator's job. That's supposed to be theirs. And all it's really done is expose they're not ready. They're not ready for prime time, literally. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 510. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Jason. This is Black Voltron calling out of East Oakland, California.
Black Voltron, what's on your mind?
Yeah, this topic with Deion and HBCUs is extremely personal to me. I don't know what black people are looking for, but you know, why are they looking for Deion Sanders to be a savior, a Jesus Christ, Neo from the Matrix, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? Black folks are always looking for a goddamn savior. And for some reason, you hit the nail on the head tonight, man. You cooking with a hot grease by saying these administrators are completely incompetent at this black schools for the last 35, 40, 50 years. This Friday, I'm going to Florida A&M University to watch my baby girl graduate from college. And let me tell you, these last 4.5 years have been extremely stressful with the goddamn foolishness that these administrators had over the COVID, the hurricanes that almost hit Tallahassee, and just the overall foolishness. Like, you know, this semester, these fools didn't even find out, you know, what time the graduation was going to be. They do this every year. They couldn't even tell us when the graduation was going to be, except until a month ago. I don't understand this. You have 3 graduations.
That's
Spring,
the very
summer,
definition
fall.
of incompetence. Remember what I taught y'all incompetence is? Competence simply means the ability to finish what you have started. And if someone does this every year, and yet every year they have to be reminded or told what to do, or every year they're lost, this is a person who is incapable of finishing what they start. Thank you very much for giving us a call.
I would say that Deion.
Let me get caller area code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Shawnee. I'm calling from Natchez, Mississippi.
Shawnee from Natchez, what's on your mind?
I kind of agree with you about the incompetence of the leadership at the HBCU, but I did not agree with everything you said about the SWAC with respect to HBCUs. The only thing, I mean, Deion can do what he thinks is best for himself and his son. Everybody makes those types of moves, but I see it differently. I see it as Colorado, who has a 1-11 record, having nothing to lose, and they want to use Deion's recruiting power through his strong charisma and his likability to kind of boost that program. And I think, once he does that, I think that they'll get rid of Deion. I think Deion has put a big target on his son's back by taking him to a D1 level school when he had a national audience at Jackson State. So for my own selfish reasons, I would have liked to see Deion stay at Jackson State and continue to build on, what he had there. But I also
let me go ahead and address that then. First of all, to your first point, it theoretically, hypothetically, I'm supposing what you say could be correct. Well, they just want to use him for his name. Here's the problem. Somebody you want to use for their name, you just pay them to be your PR person. They got that at the schools too. You don't make them your head coach unless you're going to win. They have a 1-11 record this season or whatever. They got a losing season. They've been having losing seasons. You don't make someone your head coach to recruit people. You make him your head coach because you want to win. He's going to have games because ultimately nobody wants to play for a coach who loses. It doesn't matter what you did when you played for the Falcons or played for the 49ers 20 years ago. If you can't help these young men be winners today, that's what matters. You see, what you're missing is at Jackson State, Deion Sanders would be a laughingstock if he came to Jackson State with the styling and profiling and they were 1-15. He would be a laughingstock. The reason why it's so controversial is because we'll be damned, we got a winner. And not just a part-time winner, he's a consistent winner. So no, Deion Sanders, you got to separate the sizzle from the steak. Yeah, he brings a lot of sizzle, but he was throwing the beef up on that grill in the form of championship. So Colorado State is not calling him for sizzle. They're calling him because he got sizzle and he got steak. So you don't bring in somebody, cross your fingers about recruiting. If the coach can't win, he can't recruit anybody. Let me say this again. It doesn't matter how popular, stylish, whatever the coach is. If he cannot win games, he's not going to be able to recruit anyone. Now, as far as his son, well, he's putting the target on his son's back. Baby, you Deion Sanders' son, you got a target on your back regardless. It doesn't matter whether he's at Colorado State, I know it's University of Colorado, but Colorado State, Jackson State, Empire State, State Farm, it doesn't matter where you are. You're Deion Sanders' son. Somebody there's gonna be a group of folk who ain't gonna like you on that alone. I remember your daddy beating up on Andre Rison that time in the game. It's gonna be that. Your daddy was always dip dancing through the field. You ain't gonna get away from that. You're not gonna get away from that. So if your idea is, well, if you stay in Jackson State, he's protected. Protected from what? You think folk wasn't hating on him there? You think people weren't hating on him there?
Well,
so I mean, it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. And if ultimately your goal is for your son to succeed you and play at the pros, you better get him emotionally prepared now. Like Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, that's what their father did. Okay, once you get past the nepotism part of it, hey, if you gonna play at the pros, folk gonna hate on you. So if you're not emotionally built to handle this, it doesn't matter how well you can throw a football. When folks start messing with you in the back room and the water boy is messing with you and folks are sitting up here keying your car and making a whole bunch of Twitter feeds dissing you, that's gonna crush you emotionally. So he's putting the boy in the deep end of the pool now and throwing him in the fire, and it's like, hey, he's going to sink or swim. If he can't handle people hating on him at the University of Colorado, what do you think's going to happen when he gets to 49ers Stadium or Cowboys Stadium or the Superdome? What do you think's going to happen to him in New York or Philadelphia. If he can't handle this, he was never going to make it anyway. If he's not built for the pros, we might as well find out now. Because here's the other thing. Like what Deion said, you either get elevated or terminated. His son is at the college level now. There's nowhere else for him to go except the pros. He's either going to elevate or he's going to get terminated. That goes for father and son.
May I make one more point, Jason?
Sure.
What do you think of Deion recruiting and bringing in Travis Hunter, and telling him that, you know, he can make it from a HBCU rather than a D1 school, but then taking his son to a D1 school to make it?
Okay, I'm not really sure about the particular. I'm not really sure about
how does that translate for Travis Hunter? Travis Hunter was the number one pick coming out of high school. He was the number one prospect, and Deion snatched him up from Florida and sold him on going from a HBCU to the pros. But then 1 year later, after getting Travis Hunter, Deion goes on to Colorado with himself and his son. So, you know, how does that look? What are your thoughts on that as far as how does that work for Travis Hunter?
Okay, I just Googled it. Googled it, and there are folks talking about that Travis Hunter is teasing that he's going to transfer.
Okay, well.
Yeah, like I say, don't be a hater all your life, man. Don't be a hater all your life. Look, this
well,
is
I'm
not
being a hater.
no, this is not.
We was having an
I'm saying that it's all negative on Deion. Look, Deion hasn't derailed anybody. He hasn't misled nothing. These are grown people. I mean, well, most are grown. I mean, if the young man wants
I just asked for
okay, you asked for an answer. I'm giving you an answer. The issue here is, first of all, if you have the opportunity to play for Deion Sanders, period, because the bottom line is the majority of these fellas are not going to make it to the pros. And if they do make it to the pros, most of them will not make it in the pros, no matter what they do. Your odds of making it are really low. So if you have an opportunity at this time in your life to be able to tell folk, hey, I played for Deion Sanders and this, that, and the other, before now, you never would even have the opportunity. So to be able to go to Jackson State and play for Deion Sanders, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. If you can pull that off with nothing else added. That by itself is a huge benefit with nothing else added. So if nothing else, Deion gave him that. Deion doesn't owe him anything else beyond that. But the other thing is, the young man has the ability to leave. He's got the ability to leave to do so. But by the way, Deion talked about that too. I'm very glad you mentioned that. Now that you're on the phone here, Deion did say something about that. I didn't get to play that part yet, but from when I stopped it here before, Deion talked about the transfer portal. Now listen to what Deion said.
I'm going to finish what we started. We're going to dominate. I'm going to be here to that end and that conclusion. And then when that conclusion, we will move on. Now, what I don't want you to do is thinking something is better on the other side in regards to some of you. I would like to have the opportunity.
Okay, I stopped it before, so it's going to need a minute for it to catch back up here and start playing. But he's talking about the
meet
portal.
With some of you so you don't go and jump in the portal.
He's saying he wanted to meet with some of them so they don't just go jumping in the portal because they got an idea in their heads that that's what's going to happen for them. And that's a good thing to keep in mind because how do you tell some of these fellas that, I mean, Deion has been to the pros. He's seen all the fellas at the pros. How do you tell some of these young fellas you ain't got it? How do you tell them, yeah, bro, I saw you playing. It's kind of cute there, but you don't actually have what it takes. I think you'd be better staying where you are. You don't actually have what it takes. That can be kind of hard to tell somebody. That can be kind of tough to tell them. And a lot of these young fellows out here, it's real easy for the media to gas your head up, especially if you're a school that's getting a lot of attention and whatnot, and you'll be telling yourself you got superpowers that maybe you just don't have. So there's the other side of it is, by the way, like with anything else, how many of these guys at that school are actually pro material, hell, D1 material? How many of them actually even are? Might have been a superstar, At Jackson State or at the high school you came from, yeah, you might have been, but that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be able to get into a transfer portal and everything's going to be sweet. That's the point that he was making to him. A lot of them are going to find it out the hard way, unfortunately. So he may have had his, what I'm saying is he may have had his reasons for doing it the way that he's doing it. I'm not trying to characterize it for him. I'm just saying it's very possible that Deion had his reasons for doing it. I'll let you have the last word.
I agree. It's his prerogative, like I said in the beginning, and I'll do what I think is right for me and mine. And so, I'm not salty with Deion about moving, but I do wish that he would have stayed, because I think that his power would have been greater in the SWAC than at Colorado, but that remains to be seen. And thank you for your time.
Well, let me ask you, how much more power would he have than he has now? He's already the biggest name in it. How much more was he supposed to do? Become a school chancellor or something?
No, I don't mean on that level. When I say more power, I mean just his spheres of influence. He's influenced the HBCU football game within just the 2 years that he's been there. And so he is SWAC, and he did build it up in just 2 years, to a household name from what we see now. And so I think that he could, given if, he had a few more years to spend there, I think he could have developed his front line. And I think that down the line, we could see him play some teams in division level conferences.
Well, I get what everybody is saying, and yes, this is kind of a lightning in a bottle moment, but that's the exact problem. I don't see that as a positive. I see that as a negative. If you've got to hang all your hopes on one man who made an unpredictable decision, he could have gone to a bunch of other schools. He could have gone to a bunch of other Division I schools, and he came to the HBCUs as a point of principle. If your whole hopes are based on flukes like that, you're already in tremendous trouble. If the only thing you got going for you is some abnormal event like that. That's why I'm saying these aren't things you can leave up to chance. These are things that have to be engineered. The schools need to actually start creating their own luck, not waiting for it to happen to them. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I was trying to play what Deion was saying, and it keeps
that
buffering.
portal will be loaded on, is it Monday, fella? Yeah. Monday. Portals opens, be loaded, and they're going to call and they're going to ask, because that's what we've done for some of y'all when we were trying to acquire y'all.
I don't know why it keeps buffering like that, because you all are seeing me okay, but for whatever reason, for on Twitter, I don't know if they got a lot of people watching or something, but it keeps buffering like that. But that's what he was saying. For some of you, he's saying for some of them guys who are thinking, hey, well, we'll just go ahead and jump in the transfer portal, because University of Colorado was talking about using that, but he's like, that thing's going to be full, and a lot of you need to be careful and watch out for that before you tell yourselves you're going to be able to do that. So he's kind of handing out a warning there for them. Let me get caller from area code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TVA to Tobias out of Phoenix.
Tobias out of Phoenix, what's on your mind?
Couple of things, man. First, for the people that say stay, I asked women I knew. I was like, if your man had a $300,000 a year job but got offered $5 million, but he turned down that $5 million to keep the $300K job, to be a symbolic figure and get held to a higher standard than your local and federal government, they all was like, I would have dropped him. And you saw his lady was standing right next to him walking through Colorado. But one thing about college coaching, many people may not know, you also negotiate the budget for your salary for your assistants. If he's only making $300K, they ain't making six figures. Those coach assistants probably. They would have bounced if they get an opportunity. But one thing also people got to get, those Nick Saban, Kirby Smart salaries, Those checks are written by boosters. That new scoreboard is by boosters. If y'all know what boosters are out there,
those checks are written by the state. Remember, I went over this a decade ago. Nick Saban's compensation is basically built into the damn budget for the state of Alabama. He gets they're paying for his house, they're paying for his car, his wife's car. They got an extra budget. Nick Saban's compensation is essentially built into the budget for the state of Colorado.
And he produced. And
Alabama, not Colorado. Nick Saban, Alabama, not Colorado. But go ahead, brother.
Here's a perfect example. You were saying like Deion was like gotta leave on your own accord sometimes. Bill Curry used to be a coach at Alabama in the late 80s, early 90s. He was winning like 9, 10 games a year, but he lost to Auburn 3 years in a row. Those folks threw a brick through this man's window, and they fired him anyway because he couldn't do the job. These people will fire you if you ain't doing the job. But something what Deion said, that video, you talk about the transfer portal, I watched that. One, he was straight up with all those kids. Because all these kids think they could jump in the transfer portal and find something. You know, like over 40-something% of student athletes in D1 cannot find a new home. And let's say if you want to leave Alabama at the end of the portal, Nick Saban does not have to give you your scholarship back if you change your mind. And FCS, where Jackson State is at, only 38% who in the portal find a new home. That means you're screwed. He's trying to protect those kids from making a mistake and ruining a scholarship. And but the problem is, like you said, promotion, right? They play the Southern Heritage Classic, Jackson State, Tennessee State every year. Deion pulled out of it. He was like, we're not playing this anymore. Okay, he's like, why are we doing a neutral site? Neither one of us making a profit. Why not do home and home? And black people were mad at him about that. But he's speaking the truth because college sports is a business. You know that.
Well, there's a bigger element to think about here, though. For those of you who don't know, Deion is 55 years old now.
He ain't got no chances.
Let y'all sink that in for a minute. Deion Sanders is 55 now. He might not look it. He might not move it. Deion is 55 now. He just gave the last 3 years to Mississippi and Jackson State. How much more are you expecting him to give? How many more years you think he got to knock off of that? His son is in college now. You think this man at 55 don't want to take care, at 55 does not want to follow his son, don't want to be there for him? He just got through with a messy-ass divorce with a messy-ass woman who was sitting up here, was she trying to turn the kids against him? I think I talked about that. A messy-ass divorce from a messy-ass woman. With folks sitting up here trying to rally all kind of allegations against him about him and his kids, and he don't want to do this and don't want to do that. Now focus it. So when they were listening to the ex-wife about, he don't really want to be with the kids and he's all about himself. Now he's following the son. He's practicing nepotism. I'll be damned. He's damned if he does, damned if he don't. Man, take your kid to Colorado. They gonna throw dirt on you no matter what you do. They were throwing dirt on you because your ex-wife was sitting up here flipping the lip, running off at the mouth, and then you had to shut down her getting juicing you for money. Now you following your son and you're getting condemned again. Man, be with your boy. You 55 years old. You are never going to get to see him play college ball or go to the pros a second time. Be with your son. These folks going to kick dirt on you anyway. You 55. About to be 60 in a minute. Be with your son. If this is what it's going to be, then, man, let them hate and be with your son.
Yep. And that's the way I look at it, because they're going to be mad at you regardless. At 58, 55 years old, he's going to be at that age soon where he's going to be too old to get these jobs. Because what people don't get is most great coaches started off at small schools first to get the experience. It's just like any other job where you start off at a startup, you build yourself up. These people expect him. I remember the Eddie Robinson he was talking about. They hired Doug Williams after him. He won the damn Super Bowl, was a Grambling alum. They got rid of him too. So I just think that these people got to understand. It is a business. They will fire you as a coach. 'Cause I remember when Nick Saban lost a game to Auburn, there was Alabama fans talking mess. I don't know if Nick still has it. Well, they changed their tune after Nick Saban started negotiating with Texas for a $100 million deal. You know, and even at LSU, Brian Kelly, he left Notre Dame because they were paying him $4 million. He's getting $9-10 million a year at LSU. It is a business. And like Travis Hunter is going with Deion to Colorado most likely, or transfer elsewhere. But I just think it ain't lying to the kids. This man stood up in front of those children, those kids, told them the truth. A lot of these coaches
like a grown man,
but at the same time, it's a business.
We talking about a bunch of boys, and yes, I'm going to say it, a bunch of boys raised by a bunch of single mammies. They haven't had a man sit here and prepare them for the real damn world and tell them what isn't going to happen. Your mama sitting over there licking her chops, hoping you going to make it to the pros so that you can retroactively fix the bad sexual decisions she been making for the last 30 years. And Deion done brought in Brittany Renner and everybody else to let you fellas know, man, here's the real world. This man been like a father figure down. You haven't heard any coach in any school, anywhere, any place talking to these young men like this. This man has gone above and beyond. So I'm saying, yes, these athletes do owe something. They do need to do something. But man, look here. How much more is this man supposed to do? He's done more for them in 3 years than most of these staff at the HBCUs have done for them in 3 decades. And he's 55. How much more of himself is he supposed to give?
And they're actually demanding more of him than the government. They are harder on him than the government. I hear all the time when Obama was in office, all these black politicians, they say, well, they can't do nothing. They need the Republicans. So you telling me a damn football coach has more pull than the freaking president of the United States?
Let them tell the story. Let them tell it. This man is more powerful and influential than the damn president of the United States. They got more demands of him. He's got to produce results. Now, Joe Biden doesn't have to give you anything. Barack Obama, what do you expect Obama to do for you? The same folk who said that. Well, Deion needs to stay and represent. Well, Barack Obama said he was black and go stick up for black folk, and we need to defend black racism. And okay, so Deion's got to give results, or you gonna trash him. Obama can do nothing. Deion's got to give results after 3 years. He has to make a lifetime commitment after 3 years. Obama can be there for 8 years, give you nothing. And you sitting over there, well, what more do you expect from him?
Yep. And you see the facility, like even at Colorado, look on Twitter, these Colorado fans are excited. I think they're even talking about already making merch for the man already. You're right.
They need something to look. They need something to look forward to since Russell ain't really working out. They need something to look forward to. So it's like, all right, it's lean times in Colorado. Actually, it's lean times.
Yeah, and you remember, like years ago, it was like, let's say FAMU would play Miami in football. They would actually show clips of the halftime show on their highlight reels. You're right. Why not lean into that? Because I hear because I remember like one year, somebody went to school with white guys was like, yeah, Alabama A&M coming. Oh, we're going to check out the band. That right there is showing you they missing out on so much opportunity. And that with like hiring people, bringing people in for show money, do the band, do the highlight.
Brother, it could be bigger. It could be bigger than that. I was just at the Essence Festival. Y'all know I was trying to get an interview with Roland Martin. I was trying to get an interview with Roland Martin at the Essence Festival back in June. Didn't quite work out. He lost about 20 pounds in a van. I lost a couple of days of my life, but in any case. And brother, I'm just telling you, man, if you do this right, it could be like that. You could turn this into a damn, remember the WrestleMania used to be a one-day thing. Now it's a whole damn weekend thing. You could turn this into a damn event, brother. That's what I'm saying. You could turn this into an event where they just shut the whole damn thing down for the whole weekend. You could turn, like I don't want to say Freaknik necessarily, but I'm saying this could be an event where colleges from all over the damn country, this is the place to be. And so what I'm saying is, what is your plan out? Deion can be an anchor tenant, but I need to know, what is your plan to develop this entire place over here? Whether it's Hudson Yards, Lincoln Yards, Nashville Yards. Yes, folks, it's that far along. There's a Nashville Yards, a Lincoln Yard. We need to know how you going to develop this entire area. Don't sit up here and tell me that Deion Sanders is going to be the whole development. If you parlay this correctly, that can happen. So you and I have given them more insights than the folk they're paying at their institutions.
Yeah. And I'll say this real quick. The one brother talking about streaming deals, they could negotiate something ESPN Plus. It's only $6 a month, and people paying for that anyway. And because they need content. But also, you remember the early 90s, the SEC football was not the way it is business-wise it is now. And that took 30 years. And it took outside influence to do that. And I remember when Nick Saban got to Alabama, people were crying about $4 million. But guess what? There are people here in Phoenix whose kids never stepped foot in the state of Alabama say, I'm going out there, to school there. That's what happens when you market your schools, market your teams, proper marketing, getting your coaches out there. Like you said, even your bands, you market this stuff where you get people out of your region say, man, I don't come to school here. And also take care of your facilities. Because I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. Alabama State's there, Tuskegee 30 minutes away. For years, those facilities sucked. The roads, the dorms, all those other buildings. And, so why are we so hard on Deion for the people, but you ain't hard on these schools for mismanaging the funds they do get to improve the amenities around campus where these kids got heat. They ain't got rats and mold around like do at Howard, but you charge his tuition. Or better yet, these folks ain't getting their financial aid processed in time like they did at Howard. So you got to take care of these kids also. You can't just own a football coach. That's probably one reason he left. You put the weight on the world on him like he's Atlas.
When you actually have a plan, it doesn't rely on one factor. When you actually have a plan, it's got multiple legs that are moving at the same time. That's when you know you have a plan. And all Deion has exposed is the HBCUs, even if you lay a golden goose in their laps, they don't know how to capitalize on it. They don't know how to parlay it. Brother, it's been 3 years. How much damn time they need? It's been 3 years. They shouldn't need anything else. You done had 3 years now to capitalize on this. You got nobody to blame for this for yourself. So Deion's supposed to just stick around, be like Eddie Robinson and just stick around for the rest of his life? So the school doesn't have to change, innovate, elevate, improve what they're doing. Deion just needs to sit there, and they hate him because he brought the swag of his name, but now he's supposed to give that up for the rest of his life. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Big shout out here in the chat room to my man Tommy Felix. Appreciate your support for the B1 Media, and stay positive. Thank you very much for your support in the Super Chat as well. Big shout out to both of you here. Let me get called from area code 214. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is Dexter out of Dallas.
Okay, Dexter out of Dallas. I hear me echoing on the phone here, sir.
Oh. Is that better?
I don't know. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just want to be super brief and to the point to illustrate the failure of the administration from the SWAC and Jackson State University. If you know, this season, Deion pulled in ESPN Game Day, the biggest college draw for every eye to see for recruiting to his school. He did it himself. He also got Pepsi to come to Game Day to promote his school. I believe he was not thinking about going to one of the Big Five universities. One of the Big Five conferences, because he was dedicated to that. Because of the commitment he had pulled in to get all of that recruiting dollars there to promote Jackson State University. But if you go back, because it's on YouTube, you go look it up on YouTube, you can see the administration standing there just like the NAACP has done before. They are just there for a photo op, a luncheon, and, just there to socialize. But he was there for business, and they were not there because the fruit of that after the game day promotion he did for the SWAC and Jackson State University, 2 weeks later, he goes to play a school in Alabama, and there is no facilities. The facilities are broken down. They're playing in a high school stadium.
And
So,
and that's
I think he was done
that's
right there.
before he got there. You can't put that at his feet. Y'all ain't ready. Even if we drop a Deion Sanders in your lap, you drop a Walter Payton in their laps, you drop a what's his name who coaches the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, you drop one of them in your lap. Even if you did, you ain't ready. That has nothing to do with Deion. You supposed to be up to code and ready for a Deion to pull up. And that's the real shame of it, is that these folks have not been holding their administrators and the people up here running these places accountable so that, hey, man, we supposed to be ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. If we stay ready for a Deion to pull up, how we going to complain about a Deion leaving when we ain't ready for one to be here? Thank you very much for giving us a call. You supposed to be ready when that man calls. That's not his job to get you ready. You supposed to be ready, and he takes you to the next level. That's his job. He showed he can take you to the next level, which you didn't show you ready for that. The other thing is he's not going to make a powerhouse team out of you in that way, but what you can do is have more notoriety than you do. So he's showing you how to make yourselves into a viable institution. You are never going to be competitive against the NCAA. Ain't going to happen. But what you can do is be a significant, viable entity. And Deion was demonstrating how to do that. Even if you don't have the best players, even if you don't have the best facilities, he's showing how you can demonstrate you're a viable entity. In the chat room, a man, Kid Cash, y'all can, that's what we were saying before, you do that like All-Star Weekend. Y'all do this right, man. You got prime time. You're going to have NBA players, NFL players. Y'all do that right, and you can work that thing like it's All-Star Weekend. You can do it in Atlanta. You can do it in Jacksonville. You could do it in Dallas. You could do it in DC, whatever. These are things that aren't dependent on the quality of the football team, is what I'm saying. The quality of your school will determine this, not the quality of the football team. But when you got a bunch of old, broke down, grifting, begging, civil rights era Negroes who are looking for somebody they can beg up on a grant from, these are not business people. These are not great thinkers. They're not innovators. They're folks who don't belong, working the PTA. Call from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Done. Calling.
Okay, call from 415 is late on the draw. Call from area code 470. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, TBA? This is Sean. I'm calling out of Atlanta.
Sean out of Atlanta. What's on your mind?
Hey, man. 2 points I just want to make, man. First off, this is just the old trope that the black community been dealing with, man. You got to be 10 times as better just to get the same thing as them. If people don't remember, his first job he had was a head coach at his high school coaching his sons. Then he went and tried to become interviewed for the job at Florida State. He was denied. So Deion, primetime, is the type of guy like, oh, you going to tell me I can't do something? Let me show you how I can do it. He goes and takes Florida State's #1 recruit, brings him to the HBCU. Now, once that happened, people forget the frenzy that ESPN and the whole college sports world was up in when they said the #1 recruit went to a HBCU. Deion Sanders shined light on the HBCU, and like you said, they dropped the ball. Deion, I hate to say it, he wasn't using Jackson State, but it's a quid pro quo. You do for me, I do for you. So he came out there and showed them what he can do with a Jackson State that wasn't relevant since like the early 90s, 80s probably. He made them relevant on ESPN every weekend, and then he turned around. He got a D1 job at Colorado, at the University of Colorado. Now, they're not no powerhouse football team, and with Colorado, they're not looking at the same thing that Alabama fans look for. They'll be fine with the 8-9 win season, maybe even a bowl game appearance, which Deion Sanders showed that he's able to do that when he was dealing with at Jackson State. Another point I want to make is it was the administrators. Deion Sanders is only the head football coach. Do you know how many other people are ahead of the football coach that can stop and shoot down the things that he want to do? We've seen it when they was calling him he ain't swag. We've seen it when he was doing the interviews and telling them, why would I go play a powerhouse 5 football team at the beginning of the game, which in the sports world they call that a cupcake game, to get the team confidence up. Why would I go out there with some players and they're not even talking about the right money? Deion was about business, and where he pissed off a lot of people because they know they can't question him because he done did it on every level, from high school, college, to professional league. So he knows what goes on behind those meetings and everything. Instead of them sitting here just listening to what he's saying and like taking advice like, hey, we got an opportunity here, they was holding their nose up because at the end of the day, these same NAACP individuals, they're the same ones that hate the black athletes and the black
it goes worse than that. My problem is Deion got hired at Jackson State, and somehow Deion at Jackson State, all of a sudden everybody else got their hand out to him. Every school, every HBCU got their hand out as if he owes all of them allegiance. He's supposed to perform for all of them. He works at one school, but yet he's supposed to maneuver himself so that he's a windfall for everybody. Now, you can't name a single place where that's put on one individual. That he gets hired here, but that everybody, imagine if somebody gets hired at Walmart and folks at Target, hey, when we gonna come up? Folks at Family Dollar, hey man, we ain't doing it. You need to stay working there. We need to come up too. That's the thing I don't like. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Deion's supposed to benefit every HBCU. He was only hired by one. Now it's his job to be a benefit, and they all pulling up and rolling up. Hey, you owe all the HBCUs. Yes, they owe something, but I'm just saying, wait a minute now. When did he become the person who's supposed to be a beneficiary to everybody? Call him area code 206. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Thomas. I'm calling from Vermont. And I just wanted
Where
to say,
at in Vermont?
I agree with you. Yeah, I just wanted to say I agree with you.
Where at in Vermont, Thomas?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Burlington, the Burlington area.
Okay, and what's on your mind?
I agree with you about the whole thing. Everybody's trying to blame Deion Sanders, but it's the school. I graduated from Notre Dame, and you want to talk about marketing. I mean, the term Fighting Irish came from Notre Dame students beating the heck out of the Klan in a 1924 riot. They marketed that, and the rest is history. And, you know, it doesn't matter that Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since, the 1980s? I mean, I was there in grad school. And no matter what, even though I don't follow college football like that, simply because I said I graduated from Notre Dame, it follows me. Heck, Notre Dame is so good at the marketing and whatever, they've turned every Catholic church at least into a potential Notre Dame fan club. And
Mississippi got churches all over the place. Jackson, Mississippi got churches all over the place.
Yep. And you want to talk about facilities? Yeah, Lou Holtz hasn't coached at Notre Dame in decades. Notre Dame is still playing. Okay, yeah, they haven't won a championship since the 80s. They're still, trying to keep a program and everything. And hey, their marketing is such that no matter what, whether or not you like it, it's going to follow you. And they've developed that program, or at least that program, to the point where you have those black athletes financing white students. It's the education of mostly white students at Notre Dame. That's what that program is about. But and if Jackson State couldn't work that situation to where they could derive a benefit to benefit their academic community, that's not Deion Sanders' fault. Thank you very much, and thank you for what you do. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. In the chat room, Miss Pro Woman, you need to give us a call. Caller from area code 256. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Tony from Huntsville, Alabama.
And Tony from Huntsville, what's on your mind?
Yes, I graduated from Alabama A&M, HBCU. And what a lot of people don't seem to remember, Deion had to fight his own administration when he arrived on the campus about the things that he needed solely to get the program running. It had been dilapidated. So he had to deal with his own inside environment that hated him from the jump. And not only that, the other coaches in the SWAC, they were hating on him and hadn't even played a football game against him.
Because they knew they were dealing with somebody who came from a real system where a bunch of malfeasance isn't going on. Let's just call it what it is.
Yes,
These
sir.
folks been stealing. They've been practicing malfeasance. And since nobody's held them accountable, they're just sitting up here. They've carved out their own little corrupt fiefdoms. And they're just going ahead and letting the corruption roll on. Now they got a fellow who knows he's not going to necessarily sit here and take that. And they're going to have to step their game up. Hell yeah, they were resentful. He didn't come from the Chitlin circuit. He's come from the biggest league. So he sees everything y'all are doing wrong. And you can't tell him, who are you? What do you know? You know if Deion Sanders criticizes you, you know he's right.
That's right. Well, I land my plane there, and I appreciate you, B1.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Pro Woman, you need to be on the line. Mo Gunner, you need to be on the line too. As a matter of fact, here, y'all are in the chat room. You need to be giving us a call up here. That's not a request. Let me get caller from area code 678. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Kevin Black, calling from Decatur, Georgia.
Kevin from Decatur, what's on your mind?
Well, Mr. Jason, it's the administrators. It's all their fault. But Deion Sanders said something early this year when he was talking about Alabama State. Alabama State played UCLA, and UCLA gave Alabama State $590,000 to play the game in UCLA. So Deion said, hey, it costs $700,000 just to charter two jets to go cross country. So at the end of the day, they lost a total of $500,000 just to play that game. So, Deion was kind of laughing at him. So he was like, hey, you took a loss and you took a loss, and he was like, it's no way in the hell you should have put your kids at risk like that, especially that, when you're not really gaining anything from it. So that's pretty much all I had to say, man. But Deion, he's on game. I can't admit that he's on game.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 662. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Aaron calling from Tupelo, Mississippi.
Aaron from Tupelo, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Now, if Jackson had already had an example right here in Mississippi, when we if you look at the 90s, back in the 90s, all the black kids wanted to go to Mississippi State. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was really just thinking about Ole Miss. So what did Ole Miss do? They changed their mascot. So once they changed their mascot, then they started promoting it out. They changed their jerseys. They changed, everything about that old Ole Miss, you know what I'm saying, getting rid of the Rebels. And then they started bringing out new, shirts, new lingo and stuff like that. Jackson could have did that same thing, not changing their mascot, but promoting the fact that, they had this new coach and he's in the news all the time. All right, that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 571. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Shakir. I'm calling from Arlington, Virginia.
Right, Shakir from Arlington. What's on your mind?
When you mentioned about the celebrities coming for the halftime show, It reminded me of something that happened to you with Eddie Griffin when you asked him to be on your show, and his response was, well, I got to have X amount of dollars. But yet he goes on for Vlad for free. Wouldn't the celebrities do the same thing to the HBCUs? I'll hang up and listen to your response.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here. Well, certainly, like I say, the HBCUs could pay for it there. And all this really exposes is that all this time, the HBCU's been bull jiving. They're not really trying to run a viable institution. They are not utilizing all the tools at their disposal. They could give this over to the damn students. The students at these HBCUs would be way better at promoting and building up these schools than the damn hired administrators. And if these media outlets were to put as much of a spotlight on these administrators of these HBCUs as they do on one little old Deion Sanders, then the HBCUs would be doing a hell of a whole lot better than they are right now. If they would put this much focus on the folks running these schools and finding out why it is that they have failed at their fundamental responsibility of building a viable academic concern, then you'd have something different going on. So these media outlets would be far better served to ask those questions. Start talking to some chancellors and some athletic directors and some folks in the front offices and administrators and ask them, by the way, isn't it your job to turn this into a viable concern? What exactly are you doing? Why are you getting paid and you're failing at your fundamental responsibility? Yes, the athletes do owe something for their own good and their own survival, because when the dominant society comes for you, if you're just sitting out there by yourself, oh well, you'll find yourself by yourself. But at the same time, they don't owe you to camouflage your shortcomings and your failures. They don't owe you that. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. My man Tommy Felix been doing the most. Thank you very much for your support tonight, brother. And if you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to Amazon or Amazon.com. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.